It's ended as a draw. Dublin are into the quarterfinals. Whew. Dublin are into the quarterfinals. Oh, my goodness me. I think I need a minute. I think I need a minute to calm down. That was a crazy, crazy finish, as it always is with Mayo and Dublin. They're always chaotic games. They're always brilliant games. You know, whatever it is about these two when they play each other, they produce some of the best football that we so very often see. And in the end, it finishes as a draw. And you know what? I think it is the fair result. You know, there wasn't a 45 at the end of that game. Let's be honest. That was a crazy decision. But look, in the end, it finishes as a draw. And in the end, I think it is a relatively fair result. I think both teams were very, very good. Shooting was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, look, it finishes 17 apiece. Mayo 17, Dublin 17. We'll break the game down now, and we'll obviously clip this part up for the match reaction a little bit later on. We'll fly through some comments here. James says you were sweating. We were. Look, I'm not going to lie. We were certainly sweating towards the end of the game. I don't think it was Dublin's best performance today. I don't think they were brilliantly at their best. I think there was moments we were a little bit sloppy. Shots, you know, pass selection at times is a little bit unusual. But look, in the end, we dug it out. We got the draw, which, look, is the most important thing. It puts us straight through to the quarterfinals, which at the end of the day was the most important thing. But look, both teams, you have to commend both teams today. Like, the shooting from both sides was very, very good. Like, first half was a little bit cagey. Dublin took a while. Like, both teams really took a while to get going. Like, the first point from play wasn't until the 12th minute when Tommy Conroy put the ball on the back of the net. But Dublin kept themselves, you know, it felt like we always had Mayo at arm's length. We were just about doing enough. Ryan O'Donoghue getting a couple of points for Mayo was obviously very impressive. But Cormac Costello, like, what a performance from him today. Like, an absolute colossal of a performance from Cormac Costello. Like, absolutely outstanding. There's no other way of putting it. 7 points in total. He obviously gets the point at the end of the game as well. It was absolutely brilliant. No doubts about that. Really, really good stuff from him. Brian Fenton had a decent game as well. And Dublin, like, it wasn't easy the second half. There was moments where it looked like Dublin were going to kick more into gear. Like, we hit 3 on the bounce without reply, like at the start of the second half. Then Mayo came flying back with 3 on the bounce themselves. And look, it got nervy. It got frantic towards the end. Both teams were losing possession. It looked like it was there for Mayo maybe to kick on and potentially win it as well. And it was a little bit mental. And look, some dodgy refereeing decisions, some soft frees given to Dublin, some soft frees given to Mayo. Like, I think it works both ways. The 45 at the end for Reap, it was not a 45. You know, clear as day, we can see that it was not a 45. Fenton probably should have had a free the other way as well. But look, in the end, it ends as a draw, so it is what it is. You know, we can't give out about refereeing decisions and everything else. And I don't really like to do that either. You know, I don't think there was anything definitive that changed the outcome of the game. You know, I think in the end, this was a fair result. But look, the shooting from both sides was absolutely off the charts. Like, absolutely brilliant. And look, you have to commend Mayo because, you know, it's an age-old expression that Mayo just don't go away. They don't back down. They always keep fighting. And they showed that today. You know, like 3 points down at the start of the second half. They then went 2 points down. They managed to turn that around and were a point up. And look, in the end, they nearly got the win. What a famous win it would have been for them. But look, I would be very confident that you see Mayo back in those quarterfinals and potentially even further than that with the way that they played today. They're absolutely brilliant. Jack Carney was outstanding. Jordan Flynn, I thought, had a very good game. Match Rowan with 2 points. Aidan O'Shea only scored 1 point, I think, in the game. But, you know, his physical presence at times, like, he was causing absolute havoc for that Dublin defence. And he is such a presence. Like, he's probably not, as we know nowadays, the most technically gifted footballer in the world. But look, he is a physical presence and he is a handful and he makes things happen. And look, Ryan O'Donoghue was very, very good as well. 7 points, obviously, from him. Conor Loftus, who came on, did make a big impact, obviously, as well. And speaking of substitutions, like Dublin, few of their bench obviously made an impact. Paul Mannion, Jack McCaffrey, obviously, both getting on the score sheet as well. So, look, it was a nervy finish. It was a frantic finish. You didn't know what way this game was going to end. But look, in the end, we got the draw, which, you know, a bit like the Armagh situation. It's not a win, but it does put us through to the All-Ireland quarterfinals directly. So there we go. A2 says, commit the hour, commit the man. Yeah, he stood up massively there, Costello. Brilliant stuff. And I think he's won man of the match there on RTE as well, so can't complain. Dublin is great. Says, I was scared for a bit there. Yeah, there was a minute there towards the end. You're thinking, geez, I think we're actually going to lose this. And we looked fairly in control, I felt, for the majority of the game. Like, don't get me wrong, Mayo kept on plugging away and they kept on pushing back. You know, but I think Mayo only ever led once in that second half, and that was right at the end. So, you know, I felt like we were always in control. I felt like, you know, the game was there for us to win. But just towards the end, we just sort of lost that control. And, you know, Mayo obviously get that 45. They get the other free from Ryan O'Donoghue as well. So, look, you know, in the end, we nearly lost it. But, look, to be fair, thank God, anyway, we go straight through to the quarterfinals. You know, and it's not that we wouldn't win a preliminary round. We certainly would. But, you know, you don't want to be getting Kerry in a quarterfinal. You don't want to be getting Donegal either, in my opinion. You know, you want to have the best possible route through. So, but look, Mayo, they'll be there. They will be there. And like, looking at a performance like that, they're certainly the one team you don't want to get. They're certainly the one team you don't want to get in that second place position. Fair play to Mayo. That was a tough game. They're going to be in the mix. Absolutely. James's great game. It was a brilliant, brilliant game. Proper game of ball. Credit to both teams. Mayo v Derry in Castlebar next week. Yeah, look, it could be possible. And that would be very interesting. Like, just looking at Derry's potential opponents, like, they could get Louth, they could get Tyrone, or they could get Mayo. So, like, there's going to be, we're either going to get the Mickey Hart story against Louth or the Mickey Hart story against Tyrone, or it's going to be Mayo and Derry. And what an absolute cracker of a game that would be. Like, as I was saying earlier, we'll be away for the games next week, but if it's Mayo Derry, I'll 100% have to watch that somehow now. Make no question about that. But yeah, look, nervy finish towards the end. You know, certainly, I was certainly nearly screaming at the TV there, but we get the draw, we get the result, and we push on now into the quarterfinals. It wasn't Dublin's best performance, but again, I think a lot of that was down to how good Mayo played and how difficult they made it for us. You know, they were really, really in our faces and they didn't bow down and they showed a lot of fight. And I think for Mayo in general, considering, like, obviously how the game finished against Galway, losing obviously to Dublin in the way that they did, the performance against Kerry the year before, you know, there's been a few disappointing performances in there for Mayo. This was not one of them. Like, this was very, very good in fairness. But look, Dublin done enough. We done enough to get the draw. And that was the most important thing. I'll just fly through some scores here before we finish up. Cormac Costello with 7. Colm Basquel with 2. I thought Basquel really grew into the game more so towards the end. Paddy Small on the score sheet. Kilkenny, Noel Scully all getting on there as well. Sean Bugler getting a point. Owen Mershon getting a point as well. Paul Manny and Jack McCaffrey coming off the bench. Ryan O'Donoghue, very good, 7 points. He did miss 1 or 2 frees, which was a little bit unusual. He dropped one short. He put another one wide as well. So maybe a few unusual misses there. But overall, 7 points, very good. Tommy Conroy with 3. Aidan O'Shea and Jordan Flynn both on the score sheet. Matt Ruan with 2. Stephen Cohen with 1. Colm Reap with a point. And Conor Loftus got on the score sheet as well. So, look, in fairness to Mayo, they brought the energy. And just looking back here toward, you know, the frantic finish towards the end, McCaffrey into Costello, you were nearly thinking he could have nearly got a goal. You know, there was nearly a half goal chance there, but he puts the ball over the bar. We get the draw, and in the end, that's enough. Martin says, great coverage. Yeah, appreciate it. You know, it would have been a very different mood if Mayo had won this game now. But in fairness, I would have kept it unbiased and everything else, you know. But yeah, fair play to both teams. A cracking game of football. I think football needed that as well. Look, the Armagh Galway game yesterday wasn't great. It was fairly desperate. Look, it came to life towards the last 10, 15 minutes. But overall, it wasn't a great game of football. Derry Westmeath earlier yesterday was desperate as well. You know, the Kildare-Laois game, watched a bit of that earlier. It was okay. But overall, like, you know, we haven't had too many great games of football so far this year. I think this was one of them. I think this was a very, very good game. Second half was outstanding. Shooting from both teams was absolutely brilliant as well. Look, man of the match, I'll go with Cormac Costello. I think that goes without saying. He was absolutely outstanding. 7 points, absolutely brilliant. Like, carried the trek completely to Mayo. And he was absolutely brilliant from a Dublin perspective today. There's absolutely no doubts or no getting away from that. For Mayo, look, they had some big performance. Jack Carney, I think, had a very good game. Ryan O'Donoghue was there. Aidan O'Shea was certainly a presence as well. But look, overall, happy with the draw as a Dublin fan. Certainly work to be done going into those quarterfinals, because look, there will be, you know, some good teams coming out of those quarterfinals, and I'm quite glad that Mayo probably won't be one of them, because obviously there can't be repeat pairings. So we obviously couldn't get Mayo in a quarterfinal, and I'm kind of happy about that, because geez, they gave us quite a scare today. But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But anyone who tuned in, if you could hit the like button and subscribe, that would be great. And until the next one, we'll catch you all then. And yeah, cheers for tuning in. Speak to you all soon.